Let's be honest, managing who gets access to what in a big company is a critical and often a really frustrating job. Today, we're going to look at how one team, called the Skrull Squad, completely flipped the script on this. They built an AI co-pilot for their identity operations, using infrastructure as code to make everything faster and way safer.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get into the weeds of the problems they were facing. Then, we'll meet the AI agents they built to solve it. After that, we'll pop the hood on the automation engine, see how they baked in security, and finally, look at the results.
Okay, so let's start with the problem. The Skrull Squad, these are the folks holding the keys to the kingdom. We're talking access to critical stuff like Active Directory and AWS IAM. But their old manual ticket-based system was just becoming a massive bottleneck.
And here's where it got really painful. The squad was based in India, but their business users were all the way in Australia. So a simple, everyday question like, hey, is my new role active yet, could kick off a 24-hour back-and-forth email chain. It was just grinding everything to a halt.
This table really tells the whole before and after story. The old way, on the left, was a mess of manual tickets and engineers clicking around in different admin consoles. You know the drill. The new way, on the right, treats identity as code. Now, everything from creating a role to checking on its status is done through a clean, completely auditable workflow in Git. So what was their solution? They built an AI assistant they call Skrull_GPT. But, and this is the really clever part, it's not just one big AI brain. They designed it as a team of specialized agents, where each one has a very specific mission.
First up is the Q&A agent. Think of this as the team's expert researcher. It's been trained on everything, all their internal Confluence docs, their runbooks, even their code repositories. By using a vector DB, it understands the meaning of a question, not just keywords. So it gives you a real answer, instantly, without a human having to go digging.
Next, we have the validator agent. This is basically your tireless, eagle-eyed code reviewer that never needs a coffee break. The second a developer submits a pull request, this agent scans it with tools like Terraform and Opus/Regula. It's looking for policy violations, like bad naming conventions or giving out way too many permissions, and it flags them immediately.
To handle all the administrative drudgery, the ticketing agent comes in. When a request needs to be formally tracked, this agent automatically creates a perfect Jira ticket. It fills it with all the context, the validation results, everything. This frees up engineers from that soul-crushing copy and paste work.
And rounding out the squad is the status agent. This little guy solves that frustrating email problem we talked about earlier. It has secure, read-only access into the live systems like AWS IAM and Active Directory, so it can give you a real-time answer to, is it done yet? No more waiting for someone in another time zone to wake up and check.
All right, so we've met the agents. Now let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine that's making this all possible.
The absolute heart of this whole thing is Terraform. It's what allows the team to treat identity itself as code. Every single user, every role, every policy is just defined in a file, and what that means is that every change is versioned, it's auditable, and it's repeatable. It just eliminates all those manual oops errors. And this workflow shows you how it all comes together beautifully. A developer just submits a change as a pull request. The bot immediately validates it, runs a Terraform plan to show exactly what's going to happen, and posts a clear summary. All the tedious checks are done automatically. But, and this is absolutely crucial, look at step 5. A human engineer always gives the final approval. The bot assists, it doesn't command.
Underneath it all, this is built on some really solid, standard DevOps principles. You've got Git as the single source of truth for every single configuration. A CI/CD pipeline is the engine that does all the heavy lifting. And this setup isn't just for one cloud provider. It manages everything from AWS IAM and Azure AD to GitHub and Okta.
Of course, we're talking about a bank here, so security is completely non-negotiable. So let's look at the critical guardrails they put in place to make sure all this automation is safe and compliant.
This slide gets to their core security philosophy. This system is a co-pilot, not an autopilot. SkrullGPT can prepare, validate, and plan any change, but it can never, ever deploy to production on its own. Every single change requires explicit approval from a qualified human being.
And they back that philosophy up with multiple layers of hardcore security. They've got strict policy as code to automatically block dangerous changes. They require 2 people to approve the most sensitive actions. And every single thing that happens is captured in an immutable audit log, which creates a perfect, tamper-proof trail for compliance.
So this is a seriously impressive system. But what was the actual business impact? I mean, the team didn't just build this on a whim. They defined really clear KPIs to measure if it was actually working.
Their number 1 goal, their North Star metric, was all about speed. They aimed to reduce the median lead time by at least 40%. And that's the total time, from the moment a developer first asks for something to the moment that change is live in production.
The second big goal was about efficiency. They were targeting saving over 120 engineering hours just during the pilot phase alone. Now, this isn't just about saving money. It's about freeing up your engineers from doing repetitive ticket work so they can focus on higher value stuff, like actually improving the platform.
And this chart just visualizes that transformation perfectly. They are fundamentally changing the timeline from something measured in days, where you're just blocked waiting for handoffs, to a process that takes hours, or for routine stuff, maybe even just minutes. It's a total game changer.
You know, when you step back, the Skrull Squad's story is a really powerful blueprint for the future of operations. By blending AI with code-driven automation, they built a system that's not just faster, but also safer and, frankly, more human-centric. It lets smart people focus on smart problems, which really leaves all of us with a question to think about.